Here's how it started, and I'm going to tell it the way it felt, not the way a press release reads. I was in a neighborhood bakery called Sugar Finch, second espresso cooling in my hand, when a little voice cut through the steam and chatter. "Can I trade my teddy for a small piece of lemon cake, please?" Heads turned, spoons froze, and there she was, in a coat, a size too big, a teddy patched with blue thread, like somebody tried to mend a broken promise. And when she lifted that bear like an offering, I thought that kind of dignity at that age will split a grown man open. Then I saw the locket around her neck, a small heart that caught the light and hit me like a memory. You can't drink away, because I knew that locket. Not one like it, that one there were exactly two. I designed them myself years back, when I believed money could fix what pride had broken. I stepped forward. Before I had a plan, the room made space the way rooms do when they smell a headline. "I won't take it," I said, kneeling so I didn't feel like a tower leaning. "I just think I recognize it. And the girl." Maya looked me right in the soul, like she had a measuring tape for truth, slid the chain into my palm. Let me read the back where it still said, "For my little star," and I swear my hands shook. "What was your mama's name?" I asked, even though my gut already knew. "Elena Rivers," she said, simple as a verdict, and a suited man behind me sniffed. "Health codes exist, sir. This isn't a swap meet." And Maya didn't even look at him. She just said, "My mama told me my granddad was rich, but he didn't like music or people like us. And yeah, that happened. And I have been called shark, tyrant, genius, liability. But nothing ever hurt like that line from a 5-year-old, with chapped lips, holding a bear together with thread. I paid for the cake, told the owner to keep a tab with my name on it forever. Then walked into the cold, with the locket burning a hole in my palm, and the kind of silence that makes you hear your own excuses. You should know who I am, so the next part makes sense. I'm Colin Mercer. I built Mercer North on the Church of Prediction and Control. My name's on the glass downtown, and for a long time I thought that meant I was a good man, because I kept the elevators running on time. When my daughter Elena fell in love with a musician, I called it chaos and told myself I was protecting her. The truth was uglier. I was protecting the version of her that made me look like a successful father. I said one sentence the night she left, that you can't ever take back. If you go, that door locks behind you. And she went. Years later, I learned she'd gotten sick, fought like a drummer to the last beat. And this child in the bakery was her girl, the one I should have known, the one I would have known if I hadn't loved my blueprint more than my blood. I went to the address my assistant pulled like a thorn from old files, climbed a staircase that complained under my shoes, and met Josephine Rivers in a doorway that felt like court. "You're late," she said, not asking my name because she'd learned it the hard way. And inside her apartment, that was neat. In the way stubborn people keep neat, she poured tea and served me truth. "Money won't fix what you broke," she said. "Presents might. But you don't buy presents, you pay for it with time." And I set the locket on her table because it belonged with Maya, not in my vault. And Joe looked at my hands like she could see if they'd ever built anything that mattered. "Come Saturday," she said. "She'll be drawing at the center. No cameras, no glory. Just you." I went wearing the kind of wool coat that had worked as armor in rooms where people clap for the wrong reasons, and found Maya at a wobbly table lining up crayons like soldiers, the teddy sitting upright like a bouncer, and when two boys cut across the floor and snatched him laughing in that almost innocent way that still stings. I didn't make a speech, I just said, "Hey," and the kind of voice I've used to move markets made them freeze. "Give it back," and they did, and I knelt. "You did nothing wrong," and she whispered. "I always cause trouble. That's why I trade instead of ask." And right there I decided I was done being a man who makes the world so tight that a kid has to barter her only toy to be seen. The next business day, I walked into my boardroom with a folder full of public school photos instead of ROI charts, showed a cracked piano, and an art room with 2 dried markers and chairs that gave up. We're restructuring the foundation, I said today, not next quarter. We're funding music and art where we pretend we don't live, clinics and housing where the roof leaks when it rains. And Dalton, my CFO, who looks like the first day of a bank, frowned. Investors will call this political, and I nodded. They can call it whatever, lets them sleep. I'm calling it home improvement, then. I put Maya's sketch on the screen, a toolbox in big hands with a little star badge beside it, and I told them what I'd been too proud to say for years. Her name is Maya, she's my granddaughter. Her mother was my daughter, I failed them both. This isn't image control, it's life control, and if you want to fire me, take your best shot. They tried. Of course, they tried, powerful people. Don't like it when the floor plan changes without their permission. By Friday, there was a vote 8 to remove, 8 to retain, and Dalton cleared his throat like gravel and said, "In a tie, the chair decides," and I said I resigned as chair last night. And yeah, that was a choice because power that shields you from consequence is the same power that stops you from changing. Then the door opened, and Jo walked in wearing a navy suit, like it had been waiting in her closet for a righteous day. "I'm the interim chair," she said, calm as winter. Elena's trust transferred her shares to my guardianship for Maya's benefit, and she didn't look at me like a savior. She looked at me like a crossing guard facing down a truck. I vote to keep Mr. Mercer, not because he's family, because he finally sees the neighborhood. And just like that, the math changed. Not to applause, not to hugs, just to work. We called the program Keys and Roots because if you play, you get a key, and if you stay, you grow roots. And we started with 4 schools, new strings, tuned pianos, theory taught, like a second language, rock bands led by kids who treat rehearsal like recess. And if you're wondering, yes, I carried chairs. I learned to tune a guitar from a teenager named Dre, who said my rhythm would improve if I stopped clenching my jaw, you know what I mean? The hardest part wasn't money or logistics. It was staying when the cameras left, and the emails got nasty. An investor rep named Marla met me by a school parking lot while kids dragged drums inside. "You're bleeding cash and building an army that doesn't buy stock," she said, and I told her the one honest line that surprised even me. "I'm building a city I want to live in, even if it never knows my name." And she said, "Redemption is selfish. It's for you, not them," and I nodded. "Maybe, but insulating the money is selfish too. At least this kind has side effects." And she laughed once by accident, which felt like a crack in a dam. At Coleman, the first recital smelled like wet wool and popcorn. Paper stars strung across a gym, parents in work boots and scrubs, kids in scuffed sneakers with lights in the soles. And Maya walked out in a navy dress, with the locket against her collarbone, and a tinfoil star badge she'd made for me taped to my blazer, because they should remember Grandpa. And she played a simple tune with a shake in her wrist that steadied halfway through, and the room didn't clap. At first, we breathed together. Then the sound rose, not loud, just deep, like gratitude has a bass note. And on the way out, a teacher told me, "This isn't just instruments, it's permission." And I kept that line in my pocket, where I used to keep a bonus target. So did I win? Is that what you want to know? Did I beat the board? Did I prove the headline wrong? Here's the truth, staying isn't winning. It's choosing every morning to show up to fix the roof where the rain puddles in the corner. Before you order a plaque to answer emails that call you names, and still sign the checks to sit in the back at a kids' concert with a tinfoil star on your jacket to admit you were wrong. So loudly, the room stops pretending it didn't hear. That's my hook, my twist, my ending. That isn't really an ending, because the debate isn't over and maybe it shouldn't be. Was I right to turn a foundation away from galas and toward clarinets and clinic hours? Or was that just vanity dressed as virtue did? I earn a second chance, or did Joe hand me one on layaway? And now it's on me to make the payments. Have you seen somebody judged wrong because of the music? They love the zip code. They live in the color of their skin. And what happened when someone finally listened? Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Tell me who gave you your first key or your first route. Tell me if you think I did the right thing or if I just did the loud thing. And if you've got a story that needs a stage drop, it here. I'll be there listening, showing up one morning at a time.